غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Ameen, ameen. Assalamu alaikum, beloved. Welcome to the special class that we have tonight. We're so happy to be together with you this evening. And my name is Rabi'a, a leader with the Florida Sufi community. And I'm part, co-founder for the Unity and Peace Prayer organization, and I'm doing like community building in this in Boca Raton with the different groups, the Baha'is and other groups, and I travel as a healer in different countries. I'm very, very honored tonight to introduce my brother Latif Sorensen, and Latif will share with us stories about the knower of Allah, Rabiaal-Adawiyya, and may Allah be pleased with her. Latif is a spiritual seeker of 40 years who has walked deeply on the Sufi path. He graduated summa cum laude with the double major in economics and accounting from Drake University, and he's also a grad of the University of Spiritual Healing and Sufism with a master's in divinity. He's a longtime teacher and the leader in the Sufi community in Minnesota. And he's currently a faculty member, an advanced teacher for the Institute of Spiritual Healing, as well as a master healer in the Ibrahim Jaffe Institute. He's a Sufi Murabbi Ruhi who helps support and guide the heart of the beloved. And Phil's Sufi spiritual name is Latif, which means the subtle one. Could you please mute yourself? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So Phil's name, Sufi name is Latif, which means the subtle one. And he reflects to us the subtle gentleness and the subtle mercy and the gracious courtesy of his beautiful quality. Latif is intelligent with a gentle sense of humor, and he has an active spiritual healing practice through his subtle understanding of the way to heal and to return to God. His generous heart and ability to be fully present with his client in this given moment reflect his ability to listen to his God, to the Lord. Latif is a beautiful light in our community. He is currently teaching Deepening Your Connection with God on Tuesdays evening at 5:30 Pacific via Zoom. And the class is hosted by the Minneapolis Sufi community. And it includes an experiential process, a short teaching, and time for Q&As. Before we begin the class tonight, I would just like to go over the process of asking questions. So you could type your question actually on the chat, and we'll, read it, and maybe my brother Latif also would read it. Or you could raise hand, and in this case, I need my sister Alima to when somebody raises their hand to open the mic, and you could unmute yourself, and if you're on the phone, just unmute yourself and speak and ask the question. I guess that's, if there is anything else to say about Alima, about the call, I mean, like how to raise hand. Could you explain to people how to raise hand, if you don't mind?
Yes, assalamu alaikum. So there's in the chat box, you can just, there's a place to, when you hit participants, actually I'm not sure how it looks on your side, but there's a place to raise your hand. And inshallah, when you raise your hand, when there's a pause to take questions, inshallah, we'll call on you that way. You're welcome to unmute yourself on your side when it's time to do that. And then if you're on the phone, I think most people are just muted. I don't know at this moment how you raise your hand when you're on the phone, but I think you have the ability to just mute and unmute yourself.
Right. Thank you so much, my sister Alima. Thank you. And thank you, Latif, for joining us tonight. You know, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you, Rashida. Thank you for the long, embarrassing intro. I was starting to think, who's she talking about? Who is that person? I want to listen to them. But thank you for that. I want to thank everybody for coming, for giving me an opportunity to serve. I want to thank all the founders, the supporters, the people who contribute to keep this Unity Peace Project going and thriving. It's serving a lot of people. So thank you for that. And let's do the Fatiha together. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. And let's together invite the prophets, the messengers, peace be upon them, all of the saints, all of those who have been drawn near, all of the angels, to be with us, to help hold us, support us, help to deepen our connection with the divine, with Allah. Rasulullah Ibrahim Rasulullah Musa Rasulullah Isa Rasulullah alayhi salatu Allah. And staying inside, allowing Allah to gently guide you even deeper into your spiritual heart, to be with you, to hold you, allowing yourself to open a little more to receiving, to drinking the light, the love, the mercy, the compassion Allow yourself to open to the transmission Allah is sending. It's a little different for each of us. We're each unique. Allah designed us each a little differently. And He holds us and cares for us as only He can. For our next hour, hour and a half, if it feels right to your heart, let's do the best we can to stay consciously in our heart with our Creator, with our Maker, with our Guide, with our Healer, with our Provider, with our Protector, Allah. Allow yourself, if it feels comfortable to you, to receive this transmission, to receive this teaching on the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, the energetic levels, allowing that light to wash us, cleanse us, heal us, as only Allah knows how. Be with this teaching rather than be with it from your heart, from your soul, from your secret. Allow the mind, the everyday discursive mind, to just rest for the next hour or so. It's not really needed. This is the path of the heart. This is the path of love. It's an inside job. Be with it. At the end, inshallah, there'll be time for some questions, for some sharing. I really respect that time. That time is a real gift. It's where you can share, ask from your heart to Allah. And whatever you're asking, whatever you're sharing, it's not just for you. Other people will have the same question or a similar question. I call this time when you can help co-teach by having the courage to take yourself off mute, raise your hand, be vulnerable, and share from your heart, ask from your Allah sends in beautiful responses. Therefore, all of us, everybody on this call, So please, if you're guided, step into a little bit of co-teaching. One other thing you can help with, often when the light really comes in, you can sense it now. My voice will get softer and softer. We don't want you to strain. If that becomes an issue, raise your hand or on the chat and let us know. If it gets real soft, I've got headphones and a microphone. You will not be hurting my feelings. This session, this is for you. I'm doing the best I can. Bow and serve. Let me know how I can do that to serve you. Still relaxing inside, being with your Lord, with your heart, and noticing, because it will happen when you get distracted. Just simply notice it and come back to your heart. And if it isn't there already, I invite you to repeat the name of God, Zikr Allah, in your heart. While we're together. Real important piece of this is from my perspective, my sense. It's an opportunity to deepen our connection even more. Whatever level we're at, Allah can take us. Allow Allah to pull you closer, take you deeper. As Rashida said, the talk tonight, or the subject, the title, is about Rabi'a. I was very grateful when I was given the opportunity to speak to this group. And when I sat with Allah for a subject, Rabi'a came through. And it was just exquisite. I have not done a formal teaching on Rabi'a before. But the light that came through was just exquisite. That light has deepened since then. My heart is so deeply grateful to share this with you. And I'm going to be listening also. I did research various places on Rabi'a. Most of this tonight is really coming from our guide, CD. May Allah provide His Spirit. Who is Rabi'a? She appeared in the 2nd century after the migration of the messenger from Mecca to Medina. Some places say it was about 80 years after that. From the city of Al-Basra in Iraq. Public fame for her filled the world. She called the people to a simple life and to renounce the lower world, the dunya, which seems to be so attractive to us. Rabi'a is an incredible template for how to deepen our connection with God and to become less and less dependent on the world, on the outside. She did so by her state more than by her speech, and spent her days busy preparing for the day when she would leave this world. She spent her life in true renunciation, while the tongue of her state declared, these are her words, an arid loaf of bread you eat in a corner, and a cup of cold water you drink from a pure spring, and a narrow room in which yourself is empty, or a mosque in seclusion, aside from all creation. All that is enough. She was born to a family with no male children. There were four female children. She was named Rabi'a because she was the 4th born. Her mother wept when she gave birth to her, for there was no food in the house, no piece of cloth to wrap her with, and there was nothing to satisfy one's thirst. Their poverty was extreme. Her father immersed himself in prayer, asking Allah for relief and to remove their affliction. The tongue of his state declared, maybe after coming into such difficulty, a relief will soon follow. He was between wakefulness and sleep, and soon sleep overtook him. In his dreams, he saw the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, speaking to him. Do not grieve, for the female child just born will be a noble woman and the mediator of 70,000 of my community. He then commanded him to go to the prince of Al-Basra to inform him of the prophet's visit to the father in his dream, and to tell the prince that the messenger of Allah said to him, O Isa, the prince's name, I know that you pray 100 rakat every night, and on Friday you pray 400 rakat. But this Friday you forgot. Rabia's father wrote down what the prophet, peace be upon him, told him to say. He went to the prince's palace and gave it to the guard who was standing at the prince's door. When the message arrived and the prince read it, he left his throne and went to Rabia's father and took his hand and kissed it. Then he gave him everything that his family needed and took a pledge to care for the newly born daughter and her family. When her father died, a famine took place in Basra, and the four sisters lost their home. Some bandits sold Rabi'a for a few. Her master treated her with unbearable cruelty, tiring her in serving him. She used to intimately call upon her Lord at night, crying, "Oh my God, you know that my heart wishes to obey you, and my eyes delight in serving you. If the matter were in my hands, I would abandon everything except my intimate conversation with you. You have left me under the mercy of this cruel creature. So are you now pleased with me? Allow your heart to take that in. When we have a little something that doesn't go our way, often we complain. We get upset. Rabi'a is sold into slavery, worked tirelessly. And she's asking Allah, are you now pleased with me? One day her master heard her words, her prayer, and saw many of the signs that Allah provided to honor her. A lamp would hang suspended in the air above her at night, illuminating the whole house. The man was terrified to see it, and after that he honored her and finally said, "You are free. I'm releasing you from your bondage for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you want, you are free to stay with us, and we will be in your service. And if you want to leave, you can leave." She chose to leave, to live freely of all worldly desire, pleasure, and ornament. Before she left, she made sure to explain to him that if she was to be owned in this world by a man, she would not be satisfied. But the man would not be satisfied by her because she is perishable. Rabi'a said, "Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from every being that may busy me away from you, from every being that would distract me from you. I seek refuge in you from every barrier that prevents me from you, my God. All eyes are asleep, and all those who are unaware have forgotten you. And Rabi'a the sinner remains awake between your hands, so that you may give her one glance by which you prevent her from sleep, so that she may serve you night and day until she meets you. Oh my God, I have not listened to the sound of an animal, or the rustling of a tree, or the murmur of water, or to the singing of a bird, or to the whistling of the wind.
You're muted. Latif, we don't hear you. Like you got muted.
I sure did.
Oh, yeah, now it's just like one sentence. Let's go back one.
Thank you,
Thank
Allah. Let me find my place. I have not listened to the sound of an animal, or to the rustling of a tree, or the murmur of water, or to the singing of a bird, or to the whistling of the wind, or to the clatter of thunder, but that I saw it as a testimony of your oneness. Drink, absorb what's coming. This be in your heart. This is for our hearts. And how beautiful it is when she said, my cup, capitalized, my wine, capitalized, and the drinking friend, capitalized, are three. And I am longing in love to be the fourth. My cup, capitalized, of delight and happiness. My cup bearer, capitalized, circulating around, one cup after another, without stopping. Wherever I look, I see only him. And whenever I am present, I am seen with him. Oh, one who puts me in seclusion, I love his beauty. By Allah, my ears hear no other than you. How many times have I spent the night on fire and in intense uncertainty, making springs flow from my weeping eyes. My tears do not cease, nor does my communion with him remain. And my eyes are not a grave or quiet. Rabi'a gave us one of the greatest examples of renunciation, worship, and love for Allah. She went into seclusion and continued to fast and to spend her nights weeping for the days she had wasted. No matter how long she worshiped Allah, she felt her shortcomings. And when the night came, she would wake up and intimately speak with her Lord until dawn. We might refer to that as tahajjud prayers, which are recommended for us in the last third of the night. Her tongue never stopped supplicating Allah, begging him in humbleness, saying, "Oh, my soul, how long you sleep and how little you wake up. You are about to sleep. You are about to sleep the sleep from which you will not wake up, except by the shout of the day of dispersing. This was her state with Allah her whole life, until He ended her life in the lower world and brought her into His proximity. When night came, Rabi'a would climb up onto the roof of her house and cry out, "Oh my God, all voices have become quiet and all movement has stopped, and every lover is privately with their beloved, and I am with you in privacy, my beloved." The goal of my seclusion today is to ask you to please save me from the fire. She would then wrap herself in her outer garment and veil, saying, "The stars are shining and the eyes are asleep, and kings have closed their doors, and every lover is alone with their beloved. And this is my station between your hands." When the dawn came, she would say, "Oh my God, the night has passed away and the daylight has arrived. So tell me now if you have accepted my night of prayer, so that I may rejoice. Or tell me if you have rejected it, so I may mourn. By your majesty, even if you sent me away from your door, I could not leave it, for my heart has fallen down in love with you." One of the Gnostics called her the well-mannered, or Allah. And he would say to his companions, "Let us go, for I cannot rest if I miss her conversation." After asking her permission, he would come into her place. One day he raised his hands in prayer, saying, "Oh Allah, I ask you for security." She said to him, "Do you not know that security is to leave what is in the lower world, the dunya?" Once a Gnostic came to her and asked, "Why do you live in such a pitiful state?" She asked, "What is pitiful about my state? Am I not in the noble state of Islam?" And Islam meaning the state of submission, obedience, peace, purity. And am I not in that noble state of Islam, which has no humiliation associated with it? Do I not have a richness that has no association with poverty? Am I not absorbed in an intimacy that has no loneliness within it? The Gnostic replied, "Yes, indeed, it is as you have described." She said, "By Allah, I feel ashamed to ask for the world from the owner of the world." So how could I ask for it for someone who does not own it? She would not permit those who love the world to enter her home. If they were still attached to the world, she would not let them enter her home. One night, a thief entered her house while she was sleeping. He took a cloth and looked for the door, but he could not find the door. He put the cloth away and looked again for the door and found it. He repeated this 3 times, and every time he took the cloth, he could not find the door. Every time he left the cloth aside, he would find the door. Finally, a voice, capitalized, called to him, "Leave the cloth. For if the beloved is asleep, the Sultan," capitalized, "is awake." As he tried to leave, Rabi'a said, "Do not go with your hands empty. Take this jar, make ablution, and then come to pray 2 cycles of prayer." She then raised her head to heaven and said, speaking to Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, "My master and protector, this man came to my door and could not find anything to take from me. So I have left him standing at your door. Please do not deprive him of your reward and favor." When the man had finished his 2 cycles of prayer, he was delighted by the prayer, and he continued to pray until the end of the night. Keep feeling, keep receiving. It's not quite how we would probably act if we found a thief in our house. We might not try to bring them closer. Incredibly humble. And the man, when he prayed, said, "What if my Lord said to me, do you feel no shame in disobeying me, capitalized? Do you hide your sins from my creatures and dare to come to me in disobedience?" What would I say to him, capitalized, then, when he blames and judges me? Rabi'a said to him, "How do you feel after the prayer?" He answered in a good state, "I stood between the hands of my Lord and my Master, in my poverty in need of him, and so he excused me and accepted my humiliation. He has healed me and forgiven me and granted me my request." He then left bewildered and annihilated in Allah. Rabi'a cried out, "Oh my Lord, he stood by your door an hour and you accepted him. And I have been standing between your hands since I knew you. Have you then accepted me?" She heard Allah's voice saying, "It is for your sake that we have accepted him, and because of you that we granted him proximity." She said, "Oh my God, please do not leave any veil between me and my ultimate quest, but that you, capitalize, tear it down, nor a barrier, but you remove it, nor a difficulty, but you ease it, nor a door, but you open it, until you make me taste the taste of your love." Drop a little deeper into your heart. Allow Allah to take you a little deeper into your heart. And just notice, no effort, just be bowed, surrendered, humble, and feel, see, hear, however you take it in. What's Allah giving you in this moment? Allah. Rabi'a wanted to go on the pilgrimage, and she passed by one of the Gnostics, who took out of his pocket some gold coins and gave them to her to spend on her trip. She stretched her hands in the air, and they filled with gold. Then she said, "You take out of your pocket, and I take out of the Lord of the unseen." One of the virtuous rich people proposed marriage to her. She wrote to him, "Peace be upon you. In renouncing the lower world, there is rest for the body and heart, while desiring it makes one inherit sadness and depression." If this letter of mine reaches you, prepare your luggage and be ready for your appointed time. Be in charge of yourself and do not let any other be in charge of you. Embrace your eternity and make death your recreation. I will not be pleased if Allah provides me with double what he provides for you. If he keeps me busy with you and away from him for even the twinkle of an eye, peace be upon you. This is because marriage existed for her only through joyful intimacy with Allah. Even though marriage is known to be the natural desire and hope of many women. Rabi'a was raised by the Spirit beyond the ornaments of the lower world and beyond the demands of the body. Keep drinking, keep receiving. We can imagine just being standing under a waterfall of mercy, compassion, love, patience, kindness. Just reflect for a moment or two how Radia responded to the thief in her house. And how we respond when something negative happens to us. Rabi is showing us by her life, every aspect of her life, that not to make separation, how to treat the Jamal and the Jalal the same. Wherever she looked, she just saw the essence, the face of her Lord. For her, there was no Jamal, no Jalal, just Allah. That is where the Sufi path is helping to guide us and support us. Less and less difference between the Jalal and the Jamal. Allah. Rabi'a said, there is no beloved capitalized that has no like, and there is no room for any other than him in my heart. There is a beloved who is absent from my eyes and from my individual self, but from my innermost secret, he is never absent. Once Rabi'a heard someone crying out, who shall show us our beloved? Our God, she said, our beloved is with us, but the world cuts us off from him. She was asked, what do you say about the garden? She said, the neighbor, capitalized, should be chosen first before the house. I passed by the house, the home of Layla. I stopped to kiss this wall and that wall. It is not the love of the house that busies my heart, but it is the love of the one who dwells in the house. Keep drinking. She also said, everyone worships you, capitalized, out of the fear of the fire, seeing salvation as the great fortune, or to dwell in the gardens and wake up in the meadows, drinking cool, flowing water. But there is no great fortune in either in the garden or the fire. I do not desire any exchange for my love. She also said in intimate conversation with her Lord, oh my Lord, a heart that loves you and a tongue that remembers you, and a worshipful slave who cares for you, all burnt by the fire. By the fire, my folks terrified me, but I said to them, the fire bestows mercy upon one whose heart is already on fire. I love you, capitalized with two loves, a love of passion and a love because you ought to be loved. As for the love that is passion, it is the love by which I become busy by you for everything else. As for the love that you ought to be loved, is what removes the veils for me until I see you. The credit for either of these loves does not belong to me, but to you is the favor, capitalized, of bestowing. Eat, drink. She used to always weep, and her tears would flow in abundance until the place of her prostration became like a small pond. And she would say, "Oh, ah, my sorrow, for the disease I'm suffering is not one that can be cured by a physician. How can I complain to the physician about what is within me, while all that is within me is from my physician, capitalized, from my Lord. Oh, my master, by you, the ones brought to proximity, approach you in seclusion and retreat. For your glory, whales in the ocean recite the hymns of your praises. For your holy majesty, the crashing waves of the ocean greet each other. You are the one to whom prostrate the blackness of the night, the light of the day, the celestial bodies in their orbits, the seas full of creature, the glowing moon, the blooming tree. Everything has a decree with you. You are the sublime Allah, the irresistible subduer. Oh, God. Whenever one of the names of Allah was mentioned, Rabi'a's joints would shiver and the fear of longing would kindle within her heart. She used to pray 1,000 cycles in one day and night, saying, "My love for Allah keeps me busy from all creation. Allah veils the minds of the creatures with subtle veils. Scholars are veiled from Him by sciences, ascetics by acts of devotion, and the wise ones by the subtleties of wisdom. But He, capitalized, grants tranquility to the hearts of the Gnostics by the light of His love, and He does not veil them by anything. Know that Allah favored her in this worldly life with direct experience of the features of His face, and He also grant her seeing Him in the final. The credit for either of these loves is not me, but to you, capitalized, is the favor of bestowing. This phrase refers to the direct experience of His presence in this life and in the final abode. But she does not take credit for either gift. Both are favors from Allah alone, and to Him alone belongs all praise. Just asking for guidance where to shorten this a little bit. On the day when Rabi'a died, she told her servant, Abda, who had volunteered to serve her, "Do not hurt anyone by informing them of my death. Do not tell any creature, my beloved, this is my shroud in front of you. Just wrap me in it." Excuse me. Just wrap me in this shroud. Her servant, Abda, said that a year later, after she died, she saw Rabi'a in a dream, and she was wearing a glittering green garment and a veil of refined silk. Abda had never seen one like that before, or one better. Abda said to her, "Oh, Rabi'a, what did you do with the shroud I wrapped you in? And what did you do with the veil of wool?" She said, "By Allah, it was removed from me in exchange for what you see. My shroud was then folded, sealed, and raised to the highest assembly in the garden to complete my dress on the day of resurrection." Rabi'a died when she was 80 years old. May Allah bestow His mercy upon her. May He benefit us by her. And may He grant us a walking similar to her perfect walking towards Him. There is a lesson and a warning in this brief biography. This is from Sidi. To whoever has a heart or is listening while witnessing. And may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon my messenger, the messenger of Allah, the leader of guidance, and upon all the prophets and the messengers, and upon all the beloveds of Allah. Just a couple of other anecdotes to share with you. Once Rabi'a was, this is from other sources, was on her way to Mecca. And when halfway there, she saw the Kaaba coming to meet her. She said, "It is the Lord of the house whom I need. What have I to do with this house? What do I have to do with the Kaaba? I need to meet with Him who said, who approaches me by a span's length, I will approach him by the length of a cubit. So the Kaaba which I see has no power over me. What joy does the beauty of the Kaaba bring to me?" One of her most often quoted prayers. "I want to put out the fires of hell and burn down the rewards of paradise. They block the way to God. I do not want to worship from fear of punishment or the promise of reward, but simply for the love of God. On one occasion, she was asked if she hated Satan. Rabi'a replied, "My love to God has so possessed me that no place remains for loving or hating any save him." One of her prayers, "Oh Allah, if I worship you for fear of hell, burn me in hell. And if I worship you in hope of paradise, exclude me from paradise. But if I worship you for your own sake, grudge me not your everlasting." Amen, amen. Keep drinking, beloveds. Tune in a little more subtly with Allah's help. What's going on in your heart, your deep? What do you notice? What's happening? What are you sensing? Whatever it is, it's a gift from Allah. We may not understand it. We may need to sit. Allah is giving it to us, showing it to us. There's a teaching there. Amen. Amen. Rashida, and it's
Yes.
for any mistakes, errors. Allah, please forgive me. Rashida, turning it back to you and your staff for Q&A or whatever you want to do.
I think, thank you so much for the beautiful healing actually presentation about Rabi'a. It was so beautiful. I don't know, I feel like I'm just so relaxed and so, like I'm going so deep, I don't know if anyone else can, like would like to ask questions, if they want to say how they feel. And it's just beautiful. I remember reading somewhere in CD's book when he said that Rabi'a would come to his dream, and he had this very special love for Rabi'a. So then she came to his dream like Fajr time, and when you're gonna come visit me, my beloved. And of course, CD wakes up. He didn't go to see her, and then one time she's like, "You have to come now and visit me." And then he went and he did a retreat there for 40 days. He was like the guardian for her shrine, and he took care of it. And I think he still has. They have the keys for her shrine, from what I hear. But it's that he would always go to her shrine and clean it, and he did the retreat there. He had a very special relationship with her. Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So,
Any questions, beloved? Yeah, go ahead.
Raise your hand, take yourself off mute.
Yeah.
You can wave.
I'm not seeing anything yet.
I have a question, Latif. I always have questions.
You always have beautiful questions. You're a great co-teacher, beloved.
My question is about the deep love and how I don't have much experience with it, but when Allah sends it, it can sometimes feel unbearable. And it's unbearable in the sense that like I can't really articulate it.
We know what you mean.
Okay. Okay. And I was wondering how do you cope with that energy? How do you even sit with it without it completely overtaking you?
Nasheen, you did it again. Another great question. Let's see what comes through for an answer. Allah, Allah, Allah. One of the things that's going on with that is Allah is giving you a test. He's also giving you a taste of the deep love. And the deep love that you're feeling, that's unbearable. It's much deeper than that. So Allah's, I guess you could say, helping condition you, helping you expand your capacity. Because whatever depth we feel it at, Allah can take it much deeper than that. And Allah will do it just when we're ready. Allah will help us get ready with it. So how you can practice with it is take your time with this. It hasn't crushed you yet. So you don't need to listen to that dark voice that's trying to scare you. You've been able to handle it. I would suggest first, thank Allah. When you're sitting with it, find time. Just take away time specifically just to sit with that a little bit. Start with prayers, get your heart aligned. Thank Allah for this gift. And share with Allah, He already knows, but it's good for you to hear it. That, parts of me like this. Parts of me a little uncomfortable. And if I was really honest, parts of me are scared. Allah, what's your guidance for? How do you want me to be with this? And do some remembrance, some gentle zikr, and just watch and wait. Let go of expectations. Allah will help you with it. Allah gives us these tests, gives us these trials to help us come closer. We don't walk closer, Allah brings us closer. And Allah can just bring us so far until He has to do some more cleaning. Because if we're still carrying some unclean stuff, He's not going to bring us closer. So He wants to bring us closer. And just our habit pattern is, we like what feels good, what looks good, what tastes good. This process is a little different. So He's really helping us expand our values, our judgments of what's good and not good, and what feels unbearable, what feels intolerable. He'll help us with that as we are patient, as we bow, as we surrender. And you can feel it, you're feeling it in your heart. And be gentle with the process. If it feels unbearable, we don't have to dive into the deep end of the pool. We could start in the shallow end, or just with our feet dangling over the edge. And we go a little bit deeper and deeper and deeper. With Allah's help, with Allah's guidance. Our job is surrender. Get out of the way. Is that helpful, beloved?
Very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Allah. Anybody else? Just see, there's a TM that's off mute. I don't know if they want to ask a question, he or she. And what, as Rashida said when we just started this segment, it often happens that after some of these teachings, we are just we're deeper and deeper into our heart with God's help. And the mind is just not that active. And for many of us, that feels pretty good to have a quiet mind. So respect that also. Follow your guidance. Mukmina, did you want to ask something? Okay. Rashida,
No questions?
it looks like we're complete.
I think it
Yes,
looks
no
like.
other question.
Oh, no, somebody's talking.
Go ahead. Alima.
Somebody put a note in the chat box, but I'm not sure if this is a question or public.
Let me
Is
take.
it?
Okay. Well, they didn't put their. Well, we won't say who it's from.
Okay. Yeah, I can't tell if it's a question or a statement. So I'm going to unmute this, beloved, and see if they would like to speak, inshallah.
Okay, thank you, Alina.
You're,
Hello.
there you are.
Yeah, it's me, Freddie. Thank you for your absolutely wonderful everything.
You're most welcome, brother. Most welcome.
So, more and more lately, I suddenly gasp for air, and there's a shiver going through all of my body. And yeah, I'm speechless. I just want to share that. I don't think it's a question. It just
Okay. I just want to be sure. Is this a medical condition that you're concerned?
No, not
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
No.
That was my sense, but I didn't want to just make that assumption. No, it feels like your heart, your soul, they're really being touched, brother. They're really being touched. Do the best you can to just bow into it. Ask Allah for help to just let go even more. And don't think about it. It's like you're a balloon that's deflating. Yeah. Just relax into it. And what are you noticing?
Very deep calm.
And it feels like you have more acceptance of it. You're okay with it more. It's a gift. Allah's washing, polishing, healing, whatever word you want to choose. This is a gift, beloved. There's a lot of gentleness with it, kindness with it. How are you doing?
Quite well. Quite well. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we'll put you back on mute. If you need anything else, just take yourself off mute, raise your hand. You need those techniques. Thank you for being vulnerable too. You're a good example for us of taking a risk, being vulnerable in front of her group. Alhamdulillah. Back to you, Rashida, or Alima, or whoever I'm reporting to.
Oh, we do have one more question. I think it's from
Okay.
Saria Al-Jamal.
Okay, maybe she's on the next page. Okay, wherever you are, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Beloved. I came to me, I really like that people opened up and shared their experiences of experiencing the essence of Rabi'a. And I know that from my own experience, it can be rather strong. And I like that that people came forward and shared that because her life was strong, and that's sort of the beauty of it, and that the mountain of her existence did not come easily. And I remember when a number of years after I became on the Sufi path, I read one of her poems, and it inspired me to go and to know everything I could about her, read everything that was available, and then I put it all aside. And it wasn't until a number of years later I had the opportunity to renew a Sufi bayat, and unbeknownst to me, her spirit came in very, very strongly, and I got in a pretty deep constriction for almost a month. And I also felt Sidi's presence there as well. And I think there was another beloved that was beginning to experience that. It's an overwhelm. It's so many things you could say, and for each person it's a bit different. And I remember even up until recently, I had a very strong experience. And in that moment of the greatest difficulty, when I was able to just totally surrender, there she was, holding me, and Sidi was there too. And I just want to honor the fact that that with her light is such an encompassing light, such a strong light, and one that I feel very blessed to have even a glimmer or a shimmer of a proximity to or taste of, and has been really, I've been really grateful to have had that. More in the tasting than in not so much the, I sort of left the intellectual part all behind a long time ago, and it was really beautiful to find out much later that her and our guide CD were so connected, and I just really appreciate everybody sharing their experiences of that nature. And just wanted to share a little bit of my own.
You're beautiful, Sarah. Very beautiful. Nice to be with you again. Nice to see you. Nice
You
to
too.
see your face and your smile. Thank you. Back to either Rashida, Alima, if you want to wrap it up, if there isn't anything else.
Does Mu'mina want to say something? Mu'mina? She's unmuted, no?
No, she's not.
Okay, all right. So I think we could call it a night. I think I mean,
Okay.
I just feel I had, so much, so much light came in, in presentation about Rabi'a. It's amazing. And I just want to thank you again. And on behalf of all my sisters and everybody, thank you so much for participating with us tonight. And everybody, please say thank you to Latif. Good
Thank
night.
you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Latif.
Thank
Alaikum
you.
assalam.
Good night.
Alaikum
Yeah.
assalam.
Thank you.
Don't be a stranger. Take care.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, Alima, for helping. Good night, everybody. Assalamu alaikum.